Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Today latest news. The financial world is currently witnessing a tectonic shift, a monumental development that has been anticipated and debated for years, and it is now unfolding in real time. For a currency that has remained largely static, tightly controlled, and often dismissed as a purely speculative asset, the events of this week mark an undeniable turning point. The Iraqi Dinar, or IQD, has finally broken free of its long-standing shackles, surging dramatically on the global foreign exchange market. This is not a slight fluctuation. This is a definitive, verifiable, and massive spike that is catching the attention of every serious financial institution on the planet. This sudden and powerful upward movement is the culmination of years of quiet, strategic economic restructuring within Iraq. It is a moment that feels surreal for those who have followed the dinar's journey through years of geopolitical turbulence and endless predictions. For the past decade, the IQD was effectively frozen in a narrow trading band, a reality enforced by a complex mix of domestic and international pressures, primarily revolving around the nation's reliance on oil revenue and its deep entanglement with the US dollar for trade. This week, however, that dormant state has been violently interrupted by a currency breakout that experienced analysts are labeling as truly unprecedented in its strength and speed. The sheer velocity of the dinar's rise has blindsided even the most seasoned Forex professionals. Its price action has smashed through critical long-term resistance levels, psychological and technical barriers that have kept the currency suppressed for over a decade. What we are observing is an outright market correction, a sharp and explosive adjustment where global sentiment is suddenly aligning with the underlying economic reality of a transforming nation. The move is so significant that it serves as an immediate wake-up call, forcing investors and major financial players who once viewed the dinar as nothing more than a historical curiosity to fundamentally reevaluate their positions in the currency's legitimate role on the international stage. To truly grasp the magnitude of this event, one must recall the Iraqi economy's trajectory. For decades, it was profoundly sensitive to external dynamics, especially oil prices, with its financial systems heavily weighted toward the US dollar. This dependency constrained the dinar, making it appear sluggish, almost dormant in global markets. But beneath this surface stagnation, major financial structural reforms have been underway, slowly building the foundation for what many are now calling a comprehensive economic reawakening. This is the moment where that hard-won, underlying progress is finally translating into tangible, undeniable currency value, signaling a new chapter for Iraq's financial sovereignty. The primary catalyst for this massive appreciation traces back to a highly calculated and strategically implemented monetary policy adjustment by Iraq's central bank. In recent months, the Central Monetary Authority quietly initiated a pivotal move away from its nearly exclusive reliance on the US dollar for trade settlements. Instead, Iraq has begun demanding and executing an increasing volume of its key energy exports, most notably oil, directly in dinar. While this shift initially flew under the radar of major global headlines, it laid the essential technical groundwork for a fundamental currency revolution that has now erupted into public view. This policy of self-reliance has an organic and powerful economic consequence. By requiring its own currency for the settlement of oil exports, a commodity that remains central to the global economy, Iraq instantly created a real, measurable and systemic global demand for the dinar. Foreign buyers, energy companies, and international trading partners now require IQD to conduct business with Iraq. This is not artificial stimulation. It is a profound organic force of demand entering the market, directly backed by the nation's most valuable resource. And it is precisely this organic demand that is fueling the currency's phenomenal and sustainable surge on the Forex trading floors. A secondary, yet equally critical, factor underpinning the dinar's strength is the remarkable expansion of Iraq's hard currency foreign reserves. Thanks to consistently high oil sales, robust trade diversification, major infrastructure and reconstruction investment, and newly forged partnerships with economic giants like China, Turkey, and the UAE, Iraq's financial buffer has swelled to record-breaking levels. These substantial reserves provide the central bank with an unprecedented level of confidence and the necessary monetary firepower to actively support and stabilize a higher revalued exchange rate. This is the difference between a speculative jump and a move that is firmly anchored in verifiable national wealth, fundamentally de-risking the rise in the eyes of institutional investors. The strength of this financial base signals to the world that the current rise is not merely a temporary speculative frenzy, but a sustained move, supported by a healthy national balance sheet. The immense value held in reserve means the central bank is fully equipped to intervene in the market, if necessary, to maintain the newfound stability and uphold the dinar's higher valuation against other major global currencies. This economic confidence is what convinces large institutional players that the time for a durable currency correction has arrived, effectively turning the economic landscape from a fragile post-conflict state to a robust regional powerhouse. Adding to the central bank's policy shifts and the burgeoning reserves are crucial, yet often overlooked, technical advancements within the global trading infrastructure itself. Over the last year, a complex behind-the-scenes effort has been underway to integrate Iraq's financial systems more seamlessly into the international banking architecture. This involved updating data pipelines, synchronizing interbank communication tools, and fully testing new, transparent rate synchronization mechanisms. These quiet technical upgrades are now bearing fruit. What is appearing on the live Forex screens is the digital embodiment of a market that can finally, accurately, and rapidly reflect Iraq's true, improved financial standing. The combined effect of these macro and technical developments has resulted in trading action that can only be described as seismic. Forex trading desks around the world confirm that the IQD-USD trading pair is experiencing volumes not seen in modern history. The buying pressure is not just originating from individual retail traders, but is dominated by massive institutional players, including multi-billion-dollar hedge funds, major international and regional banks, and sophisticated investment groups. These entities are not acting on rumors. They are positioning themselves based on the hard data that confirms a real, measurable, and sustainable upward correction in Iraq's currency value. For years, the international community largely viewed Iraq through the dated lens of conflict and fragility. However, this perspective has failed to keep pace with the nation's significant economic transformation. Iraq is now a powerful, rapidly developing regional economic entity, boasting enormous oil export capacity, a continuous influx of major foreign investment, and critically improving national infrastructure. The dinar's present Forex surge is, in essence, the overdue international recognition of this profound economic transformation. It is the market's collective acknowledgement that the IQD has been profoundly undervalued for too long, finally correcting itself to reflect Iraq's true market strength. The specific numbers, which everyone is focused on, confirm the historic nature of this surge. Live trading data indicates that the dinar has achieved its highest trading valuation against the US dollar in modern memory this week. The climb was so steep and forceful that it breached several key psychological and technical price thresholds that were widely considered impossible to overcome by even optimists just a few months ago. These persistent intraday highs, recorded across multiple independent trading platforms, leave no doubt this is a confirmed, genuine breakout, not a momentary technical anomaly or a flash in the pan. Experts in currency dynamics are unanimous in their assessment that once a currency manages to decisively breach such a long-standing zone of resistance, its typical path forward is not to fall back, but to stabilize at a significantly higher, newly established floor. This current market behavior fits that model precisely. Financial strategists are now confident in labeling this event as the unmistakable beginning of the long-anticipated revaluation phase. This shift does not instantly reposition the dinar as a peer to major global reserve currencies, but it irrevocably changes how the world assesses and values Iraq's economic power and worth. Beyond the trading charts, the activation within the global banking sector is perhaps the most concrete sign of a lasting change. Reports are circulating from within major global financial institutions, including titans like JP Chase, Wells Fargo, and HSBC, that their foreign exchange systems are being rapidly updated. Dinar exchange screens that have remained inactive or displayed stale rates for years are now reportedly showing live, real-time updates, with rates being refreshed continuously just like any other actively traded global currency. This technological overhaul is a powerful, undeniable signal of imminent widespread readiness, This internal bank preparation confirms that major financial institutions are moving into position for the next stage of the rollout. Their exchange departments are actively being briefed and prepared to handle the anticipated wave of customer inquiries and eventual transactions. While the Forex market moves at lightning speed, bank-level activation is necessarily a more cautious, deliberate process reflecting the need for internal verification, synchronization, and compliance checks. This process is already in motion, signifying that the systemic awakening is well underway across the global financial infrastructure. The process of rate deployment is designed to be phased, rolling out systematically to prevent market shock and maintain stability. It typically starts with the largest Tier 1 international banks, followed by regional banks and then eventually local branches and smaller exchange houses. Therefore, if an individual's local banking branch has yet to reflect the new, higher rate, it is crucial to understand this as part of a staggered implementation process, not a sign of failure. The most important fact remains that the activation window has opened, and the global financial mechanisms are beginning to align with the new market reality. During this period of systemic alignment, holders of the dinar are urged to exercise extreme composure and organization. This is a time for calm, meticulous preparation. All personal identification documents, passports, official IDs, and proof of address must be readily available and current. Furthermore, any original documentation, especially purchase receipts for the dinar, should be carefully organized and secured. The excitement surrounding this breakthrough is fully warranted, but it is precisely in this environment of high anticipation that opportunistic, fraudulent schemes tend to surface, attempting to capitalize on haste or confusion. The most prudent approach remains to avoid the temptation of quick, private deals or unverifiable online offers. Years of patience have led to this inflection point, and succumbing to an ill-advised fast cash promise could compromise the full, legitimate realization of the currency's value. Clarity, caution, and a strict commitment to using only verifiable, official banking channels are the strongest tools a dinar holder possesses right now, ensuring that the eventual exchange is handled properly, legally, and at the official institutional rate. Looking at the broader international community, financial analysts globally are recognizing this surge not as a random market event, but as the predictable result of deliberate strategic state planning by Iraq. The government has successfully stabilized oil production and exports, enforced greater fiscal discipline, and significantly modernized its core central banking systems. This proactive leading approach, building a digital and transparent financial infrastructure that meets international standards, is what has given the dinar the credibility to sustain a global trading position. Mainstream economists, many of whom previously dismissed the entire concept of a dinar revaluation as an unlikely myth, are now being forced to publicly revise their stance. They are pointing to the undeniable facts: rock-solid data, enormous foreign reserves, strengthening international partnerships, and clear signs of stable governance as the fundamental economic pillars supporting this dramatic and verifiable rise in value. This is a genuinely rare moment in financial history, where long-held beliefs are finally confronted and ratified by irrefutable market evidence, confirming the faith of those who remained patient through years of doubt. Moreover, the consensus among analysts suggests that this current Forex breakout, while massive, represents only the initial phase of a multi-stage revaluation rollout. The immediate international market adjustment is phase 1, which sets the foundation. The subsequent phase involves the full activation and synchronization of the global banking sector, leading to public exchange readiness. This measured, step-by-step approach is fundamentally designed to prevent systemic shock to either the Iraqi or the global financial architecture, ensuring stability through the transition. The most recent data being tracked offers an extremely optimistic timeline, suggesting that the full-scale bank activation of the next phase could materialize within days, rather than the weeks or months that might typically be expected for such a significant currency event. Beyond the immediate financial metrics, this historic rise embodies something far more profound. It symbolizes Iraq's triumphant return to economic self-determination. For years, the nation's financial fate was closely tied to external influences and foreign currency domination. Now Iraq is unequivocally reclaiming control of its own monetary value. This powerful narrative of national confidence and identity is resonating deeply within Iraq and across the global diaspora. The rising value of the dinar is rapidly becoming a symbol of progress, resilience, and the nation's renewed standing on the world economic stage. Screenshots and live trading updates have saturated social media platforms as dinar holders globally share a collective mix of excitement, disbelief, and a sense of profound vindication after years of waiting. It is a defining moment, a confluence of patience, hope, and strategic timing. Inside Iraq, the central bank's forward momentum remains strong, characterized by an ongoing commitment to modernization. They have announced further comprehensive digital banking initiatives and a major push for electronic payment systems aimed at improving both local commerce and international transaction efficiency. This relentless drive for stability, transparency, and continued economic growth is what adds long-term, verifiable credibility and fundamental strength to the dinar, proving that this is a sustained economic program and not a temporary financial maneuver. To summarize the immediate and historic facts, the Iraqi dinar has achieved record highs on the global Forex market, driven by a verified surge in global demand following Iraq's strategic policy shift towards using its own currency for major international exports. Simultaneously, major international banks are actively updating their foreign exchange systems in anticipation of full public exchange readiness. Financial authorities now overwhelmingly agree that this definitive movement is a clear reflection of Iraq's true, rising market value backed by a strong economy, full foreign reserves, and a leadership committed to a stable, growing future. The long-awaited return of the dinar to the global stage is not just a financial transaction. It is a historic declaration, and everyone who has followed this story is now witnessing history unfold live. We will continue to track every change, every bank update, and every confirmation in real time,